Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. We are again doing a combat show. Unfortunately, I'm here by myself. Jamie and Matt are unfortunately not going to be here today. So you just got me today just reviewing all the combat news for this week. Like I said, it's a big weekend, big shake-ups, big everything. We've got a great card to talk to you tonight about UFC 279. Ferguson and Diaz obviously headlining that. We'll also talk to you about the Battle of Britain that has been offered to Anthony Joshua from Tyson Fury. Also tonight will be the YouTube boxing event where Anis GIB will take on Austin McBroom. So we're going to go straight into it, guys. Make sure you do hit that like button. Make sure you do subscribe. Like I said, memberships are also available if you want to purchase them. But let's kick it off. Like I said, UFC 279, the chaos that has come up to this event is incredible. We've never seen an event that has been changed so much in such little time, right? When you look at it, you know, the main event was supposed to be Hamza Chamaya versus Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz, the last fight of his contract, he's going to go out with a bang against an up-and-coming Hamza Chamaya. Hamza comes in weighing 178 pounds, or 178.5 pounds, which is 7.5 over what he should have been. Now, a lot of uproar was, I was pretty disgusted by it, to be fair. You know, he's getting paid to lose this weight and fight, essentially, Nate Diaz, who honestly would have been an easy fight for him if he had to put him away, of course. Now we have a better fight, I think, personally, but we'll get into it, of course. Nate Diaz came in on the scales 171 pounds. He's grand. He was happy. Fist bumped the the guy, which I thought was very funny as well. But it's good to see, you know, Nate now getting someone who is going to give us a great fight. You know, it's going to be a fair fight between him and Tony Ferguson, because when you look at the two, both are gangsters in this UFC. You know what I mean? The way they fight is a way that a lot of fight fans like myself love. I love the blood. I love the scraps. Do you know what I mean? I love all that, and that's something I think people are really going to love about this event, because not only are we going to see Nate Diaz, hopefully, right? This is my hope. Not only are we going to see Nate Diaz probably put on his last fight, but we could see prime Tony Ferguson come back to life. Tony Ferguson is one of my favorite fighters. I've loved him since starting watching the sport. He's just an absolute boss when it comes to it. Unfortunately, like I said, he has come against some big fighters and he's lost. Obviously, he lost to Charles Oliveira, to Justin Gaethje. Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Beneil Dariush as well. Like I said, going up to 170, this could be a very big choice for him, and it could pay off. Obviously, a win against Nate Diaz won't be the biggest thing in his career, I don't think, because like I said, I think he's done a lot of things, but certainly will be a monumental thing in his career, because not only does Nate have a big name when it comes to MMA, like I said, him and Conor, I think, are one of the two biggest stars in MMA, really, when you look at it. You look at the Nate brother, you know, not the Nate brother, the Diaz brothers, Nick Diaz, Nate Diaz, how the legacy that they have placed on the UFC is incredible. I think no one will ever forget them. You know, the way that they never gave a crap about any rules or anything like that. They somehow, you know, you look at them, and obviously I love the way that Nate is, like, with it, you know, he just goes like that kangaroo flex where he just, like, you know, just all that crap. Check it out, lads. It's pretty funny as well. But like I said, this main event, I am looking forward to it, lads. I don't know about you guys. Make sure you do comment down below what do you think. Obviously, Chris is here. Thank you very much, Chris. Hope you're doing well, lad. But when it comes to it, lads, you know, when it comes to a prediction, I don't think you can make a prediction for this fight. Both fighters are very experienced, both lovable, like I said, don't have the power to knock each other out, but are willing to go that extra mile for the fans. And I think that's something we are very appreciative of. And I think I personally will love this main event. I don't know about you guys, but I think for Hamza to essentially be out of this main event, I think it's made this event a lot better, if I'm really honest, ladies and gentlemen. But we'll move on to the co-main event, because the co-main event, I think, is a fun one. I think this is going to be one of the funnest things. Funnest, that's not even a word. One of the best things we will ever see in MMA. We're seeing, you know, Hamza Chimaev, Kevin Holland, two guys who ultimately are one of the most active fighters during the period that obviously we weren't allowed to see. And yeah, I can't wait for this fight, boys. This is something I've wanted for a very long time. I am a big fan of Kevin Holland. I think he is an absolute sensational lad who fights for the fans, who chats the funniest stuff as well. It's great to see him and getting this shot as well. If he can, and this is what I will say as well, if he can stop Hamza Chamaya, right, maybe in the later rounds, I don't say in the first 2 rounds. Let's say he stops him in round 4 or 5, right? The hype train that is Hamza Chimaev will be absolutely derailed forever. I do not think if he loses, if Hamza has so much to lose in this fight, but if he loses this fight, oh Lord, this is not going to be good for Hamza Chimaev, because not only will he not be able to beat the top 3 when it comes to the welterweight division in being Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman, Rocky Leon Edwards, lads, he'd have to go back up to 185, which then you're looking at the likes of Robert Whittaker, Paulo Costa, Marvin Vittori, Israel Adesanya. Do you know what I mean? So if you can't beat them, and like I said, I think when it comes to Hamza Chimaev, he's done. He's done with that 170 division. It's pretty obvious, lads. I don't think we'll ever see him going back down to 170. I mean, this was his best chance to win this fight. Probably get the winner of Usman and Leon Edwards, and then fight for the title. Then go up to 185. I think someone said that. I can't remember. Obviously, if someone did that, I know someone said that, but I can't remember who. But that's how I think it could have been for Mr. Chimaev if he had to stick to the plan, which he didn't. He messed around, and now Dana will not forget about this. I think this is going to be something that will tear a big, have a big tear in the relationship between Dana and Hamzat, because like I said, he had one job, sorry, one job only, and he messed it up, to be fair. But when it comes to this fight in general, I think, because it is a 5-round, Hamza Chimaev probably wanted a 3-round fight, and there is controversy when it comes to this. Why, out of all the fights you would, not weigh perfectly, why would it be this one? Why would you not try and weigh in properly to take on Nathan Diaz, your first ever main event on a pay-per-view, not even on a house show where like you can get it for free or something like that. You know what I mean? On BT. You have, like I said, this is a main event in a pay-per-view. You were going to get some of the buys as well, surely, but it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. So, we move on to... Sorry about that. Move on to the Leech versus... obviously, this is the third fight. Leech was supposed to fight Tony Ferguson, which I'm thankful for, because I think the Leech is an incredible fighter. Li Jiliang versus Daniel Rodriguez. That is our third fight from the main event, of course. I think that's a banging fight, ladies and gentlemen. I think not only are we looking at the Leech finally getting someone who's higher ranked than... Sorry. Obviously, Daniel Rodriguez is number 11. And the Leech is number 14 in the ranks. It's a good fight. It is a genuine good fight for Li Jiliang. And let's be realized, the fact that, and this is what I love about MMA, man, and the community that we have. Sorry, excuse me, lads. Let me Sorry about that. But about this fight, you got a great striker in the Leech, of course. And obviously now the persona he's having now is with the suit that he bought. And I thought it looked absolutely class, the suit that he had on the other night. And yeah, it's going to be great, because when he does win this fight, I do believe Li Jiliang will win this fight. He's not the favorite, funnily enough, in the bookmaker, ladies and gentlemen. He's actually the underdog in this fight, which I'm like, I don't understand that. Like, you know what I mean? If I was a betting man, obviously I'm not, of course. I know Matt is. But like I said, to have Li Zhiliang as the underdog is something I probably would never have seen. I don't think he is plus 120, 135, and Daniel Rodriguez is minus 155. So as you can see, it's looking good for anyone who bets on him. To be fair, because I do think the Leech will win this fight. I do believe so. The fourth fight, obviously, this fight was a very interesting one because both fighters, as I know, did not make the weight that they were meant to. They, I think, they agreed to a 140 pound catch weight. So we're obviously talking about Irene Aldana versus Macy Claesson. If I'm obviously, I do apologize if I do get it wrong. Excuse me. But yeah, it's a or one. Yeah, like I said, it's going to be an interesting fight. I do think. Obviously, the favourite going into that fight is Adrina Aldana. I haven't done much research into this, but I'll probably go for her, to be honest, lads. It probably will be that one boring fight that we have on the card, unfortunately. Sorry. But yeah, we are going to move on to our final one on the main card. This one we're going to talk about Johnny Walker, Ion Kudlaba. Yeah, if I said that wrong, I apologise. Yeah, sorry, lads, I just got a bad cough. Excuse me. Johnny Walker, obviously, coming into this fight as the underdog, which I think is incredible because not only, obviously, his last fight was against Jamal Hill, which, to be fair, is a tough fight for anyone in that division, ladies and gentlemen. When you look at Jamal Hill, you're looking at someone who's a future contender. He's got all the talents to do well, and I personally think we're going to have a really good fun fight here between Johnny Walker and Kudlaba. The reason why I think it will be good for Johnny Walker is not only is Kudlaba 16-7-1, so 16 wins, 7 losses, 1 draw, and 1 no contest. Johnny Walker looks a lot better, and I think sorry, he's the bigger fighter, ladies and gentlemen. We have to take that in consideration. And in the division where it's a 205, right, that's going to play a big but yeah, but like I said, or am I meant 205? But oh yeah, it is 205, light heavyweight bout. But yeah, it is very interesting, ladies and gentlemen, that for the first time ever, I think this is the first time we've ever seen 3 fights on the main card be catchweight. Not even a proper fight. Like I said, welterweight for Tony Ferguson, Nate Diaz, and also for Johnny Walker versus Ion Kudlaba is a light heavyweight bout. Okay, so that's something I don't think we've ever seen before in that degree, of course. But I do think that we are seeing history essentially in this. But one thing it will set up though, it will set up UFC 280, which I think is going to be the pay-per-view of the year. We've got some great fights, great big names on the card. To be fair, you can't go wrong. Then you got UFC 281, which has Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. Great fight again. Do you know what I mean? So we are getting good fights here, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this isn't the end for Nathan Diaz. I hope this isn't the end for Tony Ferguson. But it's going to be an emotional fight for both men. One's going out. One's trying to build up momentum. I hope Tony does win though, because I do think if Nate is done, I think that's the right fight to put him out. Where he's bringing up a guy like Tony Ferguson, who potentially could do something in the 170 division. I think he might have given up on the 155, which I think that's fair. The weight cuts are pretty brutal for him. But yeah, like I said, the main card, great main card. Obviously, with the prelims, you've got a fight, like I said, Jake Collier versus Chris Barnett, a fight that I will definitely be keeping my eye on. Obviously, if you don't know about Chris Barnett, lads, do look it up. It is very sad about it. But it's good. It's a good story because not only has Dana said he'll support him as well. It means, like I said, because Chris Barnett, lads, do watch, I think, his debut for the UFC. He knocks your man out, and he does he tries to do a front flip, but lands on his arse. So, but it was a funny one. But he's a great fighter, and I think I do wish him all the best in his fight on the prelims. Excuse me. Obviously, starting the card, we have Darren Weeks versus Johann Lahisi. So, like I said, it's yeah, it's going to be a good event, lads. I do think people shouldn't sleep on this card. I do think it's going to be a fun little event. So yeah, lads, like I said, do comment down below who do you think will win this event. Who will be your fight of the night? Who will be your possibly submission of the night? Controversy? Will there be any controversy? Hopefully not. I do right. So if I had to predict from the main card, of course, because that's the most important one, of course. Because like I said, it'll be hard to predict other ones. So I would say Johnny Walker. I'll go knockout, probably second round, maybe that might be fair. I'll go Aldana by decision. I'll go the Leech by first round KO. I'm going first round KO. It'll be great. That'll be a great kick. That'll be a good one. I would say I'm okay. I hope Holland wins. I hope he does. So I'm going to say decision. Kevin Holland. He's going to win 3 rounds to 2. So 28-27. Kevin Holland to win in this co-main event, and that will derail. Oh, that'll piss off Dana so much. I can't wait. And then the main event, I'm going for Tony Ferguson by decision. I think he will win by decision. Probably near enough the same. 3 rounds to 2. I think it will be a very close one. That's why I think that's. But we're gonna move on. Sorry about that. We're going to move on to Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, a fight that possibly could happen at the end of the year for the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World. Fury's not finished, and I don't think he will be in a long time, but he is ready to give Anthony Joshua a shot at his WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World. Obviously, with Matt on, it'll be a lot better. We can talk about it. And he'd give his own insight on that. But for this fight, obviously, I think this is the last chance for Joshua when you really look at it to be at that top level. Obviously, he'll always have those fighters, but he'll never, I don't think, fight for those belts when Usyk's still there, and we have other fighters coming up as well. I do want to see him against Wilder. Him and Wilder will be a great fight, ladies and gentlemen. Would he be able to sustain that punch? I don't know. We could see another Andy Ruiz fight after Andy Ruiz best Luis Ortiz. That would be a good fight, I think, for Joshua. I think, who else would be a good fight? Maybe Chisora, I don't know. Like I said, there's many options for him. Because he's still young, I believe, in this fight game. When will he retire? No idea. One way to find out, ladies and gentlemen. But I think he does have a lot left in the tank, which is good, because you do want to see him. He's a young lad. Obviously, things didn't go his way in the last one, but we move forward, of course. But Fury, this one, I think, will solidify his greatness. I believe he's like 2-3 more fights before he can really be considered as the GOAT. Obviously, Usyk has the belts. I think he'll definitely fight Usyk after this fight. I do think he'll beat Joshua, of course. But, excuse me, when it comes to it, this fight is very, very interesting because not only if Joshua does win this, right, and let's say it's another rematch, that's 2 fights where he could possibly beat the greatest talent from England, of course. So it is a very, very interesting one. Personally, for me, I'm going Fury. I think Fury is going to laugh at him, use mind games. He's the A side. Let's be real. Eddie Hearn and Ting are not the A side. They won't be the A side for that fight. They'll have to accept what they get, if they do, of course. And I'm going to see how that goes. But as it comes for Usyk, of course, I hope that fight doesn't happen, man. Usyk won't stand a chance. I know obviously people said that with Joshua and all that, but like Fury's movement is incredible, right? And it's going to take a bit. It's going to take up someone with a big shot to finish him, right? Obviously, granted, Fury does have a knockout to his name over a big heavyweight boxer in Deontay Wilder. So you never know, ladies and gentlemen. You never know. I do think we could be in a very, very tight situation for this heavyweight division. As it comes to, we don't know. We don't know what will happen. Obviously, end of the year, I think they've agreed on fees, or the stadium don't think it's been announced yet. But like I said, it'll be very interesting. So yeah, unfortunately, I have no other thoughts on that. Of course, my co-partner on this show is not here at the moment. He's just sorted himself out, which is fine. Like I said, next week, lads, we do have a big show to go through. Sorry, Matt is bringing on a boxer, so we'll interview him. You guys can ask your questions if you're obviously sensible, of course. But yeah, I can't wait for it. It's gonna be good. I have my questions ready for him, so like I said, you'll see him next week. But we'll move on to the YouTube, of course. YouTube boxing. GIB versus MCBROOM is happening tonight. Am I excited for this? Not really, I'll be honest. I mean, no, gee, what the hell? Austin MCBROOM, kind of, it feel like he's been stalling this fight, I believe. I don't know why. I feel like he's been stalling this fight. I have a bad feeling about this fight as well, about the outcome. I do think GIB's going to finish him. And if he doesn't, he's probably going to get robbed out of it, I believe, just because, like, what happened with Taylor Holden will probably happen again. It's usually when something like that happens, it happens again. So we'll only find out. We'll one way to find out, ladies and gentlemen. But what does this mean, obviously, if GIB does win? Well, obviously he goes into that category with Slim, KSI, Jake Paul, other fighters as well who are elite when it comes to that, but not boxers. None of them are boxers, lads. Jake Paul likes to claim he's one, but he's not. Right? Actually, he hasn't fought a pro boxer yet. I don't consider him yet. What he's done is impressive. It has been great for boxing for the short term, but for the long term, I don't think it will be good in general. As the standards will drop for a boxer, you know, when it comes to Jake Paul, it's just I don't think his impact will be good for long term boxing. Short term, yes, it's bringing back to life. Obviously, the sport of boxing has only a few superstars compared to the UFC. It's incredible. I think that we're really looking at a possible, like I said, there's a YouTube event that's kicking off in January, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, ladies and gentlemen, where KSI will be fighting on that card, Logan Paul will be fighting on that card, possibly Dylan Danis if he wants to find that card. We could be looking at a good event here. The prediction, though, like I said, GIB to win by KO. I think that'll be the best. I think, obviously, for sale, I don't know how the sales are doing for that fight, but it's not really my concern, ladies and gentlemen. But like I said, for the UFC, we'll go back to the UFC because, like I said, that's kind of my strong point when it comes to it. I do love watching it. I do believe, like I said, guys, do watch loads of things from. I do recommend things to people like the Dana White Contender Series, Tough as well. They're great shows that give opportunities to many fighters. It's great. The next, excuse me, next fight night is Corey Sandhagen versus Song Elong. This is a great fight, ladies and gentlemen. I love this. This fight is definitely a piece of what I love about MMA in general, because you're taking two high-level fighters in a bantamweight division, which is very tight at the moment when it comes to making fights, right? Because two of them are already fighting on UFC 280, right? You got two of them on 280, where Piotr versus Sean O'Malley and TJ Dillashaw versus Aljamain Sterling for the belt. There's loads of outcomes that can come from this, lads, and this is one of the reasons why the bantamweight division is arguably the best division right now in the UFC. Obviously, you have Davison Figueiredo maybe coming up as well if he does lose to Brandon Moreno in their fourth fight. I think that'll be the ending. I think surely it has to be the ending of their fight. Obviously, two of the best flyweights, not the best, of course. The best is clearly DJ, of course, and like I said, it is something to obviously think about, because when you look at obviously fighters like Sean O'Malley, if he does win against Piotr, not only would that be the biggest win of his career, but we're also thinking like maybe he has a shot at the title. Imagine that, Sugar Sean O'Malley, bantamweight champion 2023. I could see it. I could genuinely see it. But who do I think will actually fight the winner of Corey Sandhagen versus Thing? I'll tell you who I think. Merab Vishali. If I'm saying his name wrong, I do apologize. But the guy who bet Jose Aldo, I think that's who they fight. It's kind of like a tournament in a sense, where one will fight the other. If he loses, he'll fight this guy. if you win, you fight this guy. I don't think Jose Aldo's done yet. I heard that he wants one more fight, and like I said, I think there's one fight there's to make for him. I think realistically, when you look at it, I think that's with Dominic Cruz in Brazil. I think that's the right fight to make. I would love to see those two in Brazil, as like for both of them, for their own sake. You know what I mean? You're looking at one of the greatest bantamweight champions of all time, and obviously the greatest bantamweight of all time, and Dominic Cruz taking on the greatest featherweight champion, and arguably one of the greatest featherweights of all time in Jose Aldo. I know Alex Volkanovski is the featherweight champion right now, and he's doing a sensational job. I love Alex Volkanovski. He's one of my favorite fighters. Jose Aldo is the king of Rio, and he's the king of that featherweight division. And I don't think there'll be a lot of people, stopping his legacy. He went 10 years undefeated, which is unheard of in this business at the moment. Obviously, it's Khabib who came undefeated but left, unfortunately. You know what I mean? So it's... And obviously, when you look at comebacks as well, you're looking at a guy who came back from one of the most embarrassing losses in the UFC of all time against Conor McGregor to possibly even a bantamweight title shot. You never know. He did have one. Correction, he did have one. And then it was the interim, against Petr Yan. I think that was the wrong time to push him. I think he was pushed too hard. He should have been eased into the division, if I'm really, really honest, ladies and gentlemen. That would have made perfect sense, obviously, for Jose. I think, we got a question, actually, and I will answer it. I will actually answer this with all my heart, because I said, excuse me, nuts. With Twitter, of course, if you do follow me, Robotic Jaguar on Twitter, ladies and gentlemen, I was furious. So, look, thank you very much for being on the channel, bro. Make sure you hit the like button. What do you think of the weigh-ins yesterday? So, like I said, I'll give my honest opinion on it. I was pissed. I was pissed with Hamza because not only did he have one job to do, but he couldn't even do that. And he just played it off thinking, I'm invincible. Nothing's going to happen to me. I can just fight like this. Which you can't, because there's obviously consequences to your actions. If you cannot make weight, you don't get the fight you want. Simple as that. I think some fighters also did make weight. Like I said, Aldana versus Thing had to be moved to a catch weight, because I believe the two agreed on a certain division, but like I said, I think it's a bit of a joke by these fighters. Do you know what I mean? You are getting paid to lose this weight and to fight. Obviously, like I said, it's tough out there, I understand. But when you have the best nutritionists and the best, coaches and partners and all that crack, obviously, you would not be with them if they weren't the best and they weren't helping you, of course. That's why because some people I said, but they don't have the best, they're the best for them, of course. But I think Hamza, is a big indication that Dana will probably not book him for the title next. This is going to be like, you didn't make weight. I gave you Nate Diaz for a reason, and you didn't secure on it. Do you know what I mean? I do think, obviously, I think Hamza shouldn't get as much hate, because like I said, there was a load of other fighters who did not make weight. Chris Barnett, I think, had a good reason to not, he had a really good reason, of course. And obviously, if you know, you know. If you don't, look it up. I'm not saying it, because I do have respect for Chris Barnett. He's an absolute savage when it comes to heavyweight. And obviously, I do send my regards to him, of course. But like I said, I think when it comes to the weigh-ins, I think they're an absolute joke when it comes to some fighters. And I think they really need to consider the weight division they're in. I was going to say, like, their decision to be a fighter, but some of them are high-level fighters, and they have done it before. It's probably just a bad day at the office. But if you can't make that weight, admit it and just stay on the above weight. Simple as that. But it really does, like I said, because it is a very interesting topic, because there's been many controversial weight cuts. Khabib back in the day, he used to kill him. He used to kill his body for a bit just so he could make weight. And I do think there's lots of controversy when he fought Justin Gaethje that he wasn't 155 pounds. So obviously you can believe who you want, lads. I don't know. I wasn't the biggest fan of Khabib, of course, but for his legacy, I think he is a very good fighter. Probably not one of the GOATs. I think people need to understand that. So, but yeah, like I said, thank you very much for the question, lad. If you have any more, send them in. I will be discussing pretty much anything. The last half hour, I've been going through UFC 279, Song Yadong versus Corey Sandhagen, which is the next event on Fight Night. We've talked about the boxing, obviously, with Tyson Fury offering a contract to Anthony Joshua for the WBC heavyweight title. We've talked about Austin McBroom versus GIB. So, like I said, it's another packed weekend when it comes to fighting, and I'm kind of thankful for that, lads, because last week we had UFC Paris. I liked UFC Paris. I thought it was a great event. I thought we saw some great talent there. People who did not let us down. I was very happy with that. I think the heavyweight fight between Gane versus Tuivasa was a great fight. Unfortunately, like I said, people said that Gane hit him in the back of the head and he should have been disqualified. I don't think he should have been. He was nearly finished tied to Tuivasa. And look, Gane is a superior athlete. It is incredible the amount of progress he's made in under 3 to 4 years. That's all he's been doing in MMA, ladies and gentlemen. 3 to 4 years he's been doing MMA in France and training, essentially. That does not come. You have to have that gift to do it. I think not a lot of fighters do have that when it comes to it. Obviously, with Robert Whittaker, I think he lost the first round, but I think he just dominated round 2 and 3. It was actually a disaster for Vettori in that second and third round. He probably was thinking that he was just going to keep going, but no, Robert Whittaker pretty much put the brake on. Imanov versus Buckley, I enjoyed that fight. I think Buckley ran out of energy. He needs to do something about that. I think probably it's really hard to know because not only was this middleweight, right, and he looked tired, maybe because of the weight cut, but he can't go to heavyweight with that. He's very small. He probably will get dominated in that division. It's not really a diss to him because, like I said, he is a very talented lad. Arguably one of the greatest knockouts of all time with that spinning. That is like a samurai kick. Do you know what I mean? No one will ever forget that. But I do think if he was smart about it, if he was really, really smart, he needs to think about his next fight very, very. He needs to think about it a lot because taking on Imanov was a very big mistake by him, in my opinion. He's the bigger lad. Obviously, the only way that he could have won Buckley was if he caught him with a fucking haymaker, do you know what I mean? So, or an overhand right or left. Simple as that. But what does that mean? Like I said, we'll talk about Gane because I think that was the most interesting fight of them all. Gane versus Tuivasa. You look at it, right? A lot of people said this was a bad fight for Tuivasa, me included, of course. And sorry. And I do think we kind of rode off Tuivasa in this fight. He dropped Cyril Gane in this fight, which I thought was incredible. I was just like, Rob, we could have had a winner there. Do you know what I mean? That's how close it really was. But I think Gane is just such a superior athlete, lads. When it comes to Jones, will he fight Jones? I don't know. If they do fight, will he win? Don't know. When you look at John Jones, he's one of the greatest minds in MMA at the moment, where he just knows what to do. It just comes easy to him, something like that. And he always has a strategy, John Jones. That's why I want to see him against Francis Ngannou. How would that fight play out? Would Jones get his masterclass in where he just finds the loophole in Francis? Or does Francis knock him out? Obviously, it's a very tough decision, ladies and gentlemen, for Dana White, but it's not for me, so I get to enjoy all the good content that comes out from UFC. I think we're going to end it here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a great show. Obviously, by myself. Next week, we'll have Matt with me. So I want to say thank you so much to everyone. Hopefully, you all enjoyed. Like I said, make sure you do subscribe. Make sure you do like. Make sure you do become a member on the channel. The cheapest is 99p if I'm correct on that. Don't quote me on that, of course. Niall knows, so make sure you do listen to him. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you all enjoyed, and peace.